Kenyans, yes, I abducted you. Yes, I killed you. I threw your bodies into dams and rivers and into forests. Yes, I did it. I killed your children. Yes, I abducted them. My killer squad kidnapped them. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kenyans, I'm sorry. I accept my mistake. Many bodies were lying in the morgues. Many have not been found. They're still missing. But I'm sorry. Even in the Bible, King David was forgiven for killing Uriah and marrying his wife. Mtadu, I'm sorry.
There is no apology that starts with if. So, nobody should classify this as an apology. This is not.
Let's bring up the feedback and see what you're saying. A lot of it coming through at Trevor Media at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. Jaconim says the apology was not genuine. It was merely intended to deceive the day's preacher. If President Ruto and his government are sincere, let their actions speak. End the abduction, stop the killings, halt the overtaxation, and stop using the police against citizens. Okay? Jim says leaders should stop creating laws driven by emotion. We had social media in 2022 to 2023. What changed? The real problem is that leaders are mocking Kenyans instead of serving them. Okay? Gabi says asking for forgiveness or saying I have forgiven you is easy for those who are unaffected and driven by self-interest. But for the affected individuals and families, healing and forgetting the wounds and scars is incredibly difficult. Kineni says the prayer breakfast was merely a gathering of politicians. Just wait until they take the microphone at rallies and funerals. That's when you'll see their true selves. Kiteki Michael says if the president and these politicians meant and need forgiveness, they should do away with housing levy and oppressive taxes. Kenyans are angry because the little they get is overtaxed, and don't compare Kenya to Japan or France on tax percentage. Okay? Kish says leaders who have the responsibility to put to task the systems cannot come to a prayer meeting to ask God to change those systems. That is an admission of failure. Okay? MC Rumors says what really irks me is the hypocrisy of our politicians. Yesterday they were acting godly during prayer breakfast and asking for forgiveness and reconciliation. After President Ruto apologized, what next? We move on? No. We need justice for the victims.
Mariam, did you accept the apology? Okay, we'll talk about that later. So.
Wow. Tulianza na maombi, sasa ni apology. Aya, poleni basi.
No.
Haki. Poleni.
The father of the nation apologized.
To our children.
The nation says half-hearted apology.
I know.
That's what the Daily Nation says.
Uzuri wa sasa coexist in the therapy age. Nafunzo what a good apology is.
That's true.
A good apology acknowledges the wrongdoing without ifs or buts, right? Then sincerely apologizes and says sorry. So you acknowledge, you say, I did this and I hurt you. Not if I did this and I hurt you.
That's true.
And I am sorry. That's the now apology part. I am sincerely sorry. And then you finish off with a promise and a commitment that it will not happen again.
Why are you
to do
putting
better.
such a long prescription to an apology?
But
that's an apology. That's
but you have to know what an honest apology is. Then you can tell if somebody is like, Basi Latif, if I upset you, Basi, sorry, but I was just coming. No. It's that if I recognize that I offended you and I'm sincere.
Prescribed how an apology should look like?
Therapists, as Mariam has said, have taught us the tools. Because a lot of people have been hurt by not getting closure or a proper apology.
Yeah. It's upon you now to seek closure.
No. An apology should be sincere. Because
but how do you judge sincerity? You see, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying now.
Is there a world accepted form of apology?
I think it's exactly what I've said. Because when you start with an apology with, Eric, if you felt hurt, I'm sorry. That's already dismissive. If you felt hurt. You should come saying, I acknowledge that I hurt you and I'm sorry.
I acknowledge that you felt hurt. Yeah, it's not
You're
necessarily that
whatabouting.
I may not be accepting that I hurt you. All right?
Which is then not an apology.
I'm apologizing to the fact that you felt hurt.
But then
That's
that's
not
not
an apology.
That's just a statement.
Yeah, that's-
An apology has to...
You felt hurt,
Yes.
and therefore, I'm sorry that you felt hurt.
No, but that's not
But I may
apology.
have-
That's
I may-
empathy. That's oops, unasikia vibaya, pole.
And it goes with I'm sorry as well. Empathy also goes with I'm sorry.
I'm sorry takes responsibility. A true I am sorry takes responsibility. Hey, honor to the mathematics of apologies.
It's true.
But tell us if you feel like the apology was honest and sincere. I don't know. Here's the thing. Dr. Ricky Bolden said very clearly, one of the worst things you can do with this generation is to continue to treat them like children. And then Dr. Kindiki and Dr. Ruto went on stage and continued to say, to our children, we're saying, however, respect your elders. To our children, poleni if we hurt you.
So they're still treating them like children.
And I think it has to be absolutely clear to the leadership. Your children are only in your home. Everyone else is part of your electorate and they're your citizens, but your children are only in your home. It's condescending, it's annoying, it's tired. It's also, I don't know, just very boring. Again, your children are in your home. Everyone else is part of the electorate. It's... It annoys me to no end.
Mtoto ni mtoto wako peke yako.
That's
Peke
it.
yake.
The ones in those are your children. Everyone else, electorate, citizenry.
Yeah.
The people who put you in power or who are there to hold you to account, that's everyone else. Whether they are 12 or 16 or 50, your children are only in your home.
I think it's a really good way to sum it up, because then I think that's where one of the biggest disconnects is. There's never been a separation of that. And I don't know that there'll be, because it's also just rooted in so many things, whether it's historical context, culture, and then some people, if you don't want to unlearn, you will never unlearn. So you'll continue to regurgitate things which you've been asked to just think through.
Right.
I do think...
There's someone, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Someone on Twitter talking about the apology. He says, some of us, the only apology we get from our spouses is chakule iko hapa kwa meza, enda ukule. I didn't know an apology has a structure. I am fixed. And he's tagged us. And yes.
Eric, did you know an apology has a structure? Eric is still... Let's look at some feedback as well on YouTube.
Still don't know, yeah.
There is so much. The apology from the president to Gen Z is a joke. Remember the song, Too Late to Apologize? Too late to apologize. I remember that song.
Yes.
The moment you say if before tendering an apology, hiyo ni drama. That is Joseph Gema. Umesikia, Latif?
That's absolutely
Ukianza
true.
na if, tena na kidole hivi.
Apologies don't start with an if. That's true.
Good apology can't start with if. Jeremy Mutuma.
The president did not read this apology from a prepared speech.
Yeah.
It was an off-the-cuff remark, right? Unlike Museveni, who and First Lady Janet, they were reading a national apology. They had prepared, they had written it, and they had gone through it before they came to read it together, right? This was that one was written up. This one by the president and the deputy was a response to the preacher saying, "I wish and I hope you guys will one day apologize." So then they just come in and thread it into their speech, like the speech had prepared. And so they're like, okay, so now we apologize to you Tanzanians for what we have done. We apologize to you Ugandans and to our children. We apologize. And I hear what you're saying, Mariam, because maybe the use of the word children speaks a lot more about the attitude and the thinking that they don't understand. They need to be told, they need to be guided. They are wrong anyway. It's just telling your child, pole basi, sawa baba, sawa ka baba.
Kunywa maji.
Kunywa maji. Bas, 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 bas.
Bas, baba.
Yeah.
It sounds like that. That's what it's coming out like that.
You highlighted female legislators. What has been your worst experience on social media?
My worst?
Yeah.
My worst is when you talked about my son, who nobody knew. That was my worst. Thank God I don't read social media. I came out during Sonko's time. But you know, sometimes families come to you and give you a story and you're wondering, it's on social media? Then they say, look. But everyone kept on telling me this, and I thanked God. I said, I never read. But the worst was when we were walking a journey with the children of the late Honorable Were. And I was, where is Kenya? It does not matter. He is dead. Why would we discuss? his children, when they go back to school, what happens to these children? Does anyone ever think that everyone now looks at you and wonders, who is your father? Who is this? Do you imagine those young girls in primary, in high school, how they feel when they go back? It was the most saddest thing. And I asked myself, no. When a family is bereaved, if they have not told you even to tell them so-and-so is dead, why would you announce it on social media? Don't you think another one can collapse in that family because of shock and go also? Have you ever thought how it tortures? And especially when it is abrupt. For me, you know, I thank God. Sometimes you pray, you go through your everything. But I always tell God, thank you for only one thing, that indeed this young man left his home at 10:30 p.m. to go and help others. And thank God he had finished helping, dropping them, and he was just coming home. I was asking myself, God, what about if they would have been all of them? What would have happened? So I thank God for that. And we pray every day for that. But then we have another one who might not have the strength and the grace to go through that.
Okay.
So what happens?
Right.
So that
fundamental question.
We will have to change the law to just cushion, not just us, but many families who have gone through this wrath.
Okay.
Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni and First Lady Janet Museveni have asked for forgiveness from Ugandans for mistakes made by them, their agents and representatives. The first couple issued a rare public apology on Sunday, May 25th, at a prayer session organized by their preacher daughter, Patience Museveni Rwabwogo. The event was held at the Kololo Independence Grounds in Uganda's capital, Kampala. President Museveni and his spouse Janet, who is Uganda's education minister, acknowledged some failures in governance as well as unintended alienation of citizens and the scourge of corruption among state officials.
As the top leader of the movement, we humbly have responsibility of all the mistakes made by ourselves, our agents, and representatives. We therefore stand here to repent and ask for your forgiveness and forgiveness of especially the people of Uganda and the whole country.
Museveni's relationship with the people of Buganda was initially cordial, but it soured after tensions between the president and the kingdom's leader, Kabaka Mutebi, sparked deadly riots in Kampala in September 2009. At least 14 people died and more than 500 were arrested. During their recent fellowship, President Museveni and First Lady Janet Museveni also sought God's intervention to mend broken trust with Ugandans following a fallout over the years.
Lord, restore the favor that we had with them in the beginning. Bring healing to their hearts. Soften the hardened hearts and reconnect us to the original vision of our national unity and unwavering commitment to social and economic transformation of our nation together.
80-year-old Museveni has been Uganda's president for 39 years. During his lengthy rule, he has faced repeated calls to retire, but the president has often emphasized that he remains the right man for the job. In a past interview with Uganda's New Vision newspaper, Museveni said, "People vote for me because they know I can deliver what they want." In recent times, he has faced increased criticism by Uganda's opposition and rights activists for cracking down on dissent. But Museveni says he makes decisive security calls to guarantee Uganda's peace and stability.
The only apology that we want from you is when you and Sophia the First hand in your resignation letter with your cohort of thieves and you return all the loot that you've stolen from this country na muingie kamiti. That is the only apology that we will accept. So please stop calling us your children. We're not your children. We refuse to be your children. Your children are in Bali and God knows where, enjoying their lives while we are suffering from unemployment. We are suffering from lack of food. Our parents are not even working. Our parents cannot even have pesa retirement. So please do not desist from calling us your children. We refuse that freaking apology. We do not want it. Keep it to yourself. And again, the only kind of apology that we want is if you choose to sign a retirement letter. Toka kwa hiyo ofisi hatukutaki hapo. Start simple. Hatutaki apologies.
Baba wenyu wa taifa alisema if waliwakosea, kama kuna makosa ilitendeka, poleni sana. Kama kuna makosa ilitendeka. Do you want us to list? Do you want us to list those things? Should we give you a list of the things that have gotten us so angry? Hata tusiende mbali sana. Tuanzie tu na the lives we lost. Iyo si makosa? Iyo si makosa? You literally deployed military on your own citizens. Iyo haikuwa makosa? Iyo si makosa? Abductions. Forced disappearances. Kuna watu mpaka sasa hawajaipatikana. Lakini kama kuna makosa ilitokea, tuwasamehe. Kwani tunadili na kina nani?
Kuna vitu wezi ambia mtu pole. You cannot kill someone and then go and tell their family I am sorry. Ufikirie that they'll just sit there. Of course their justice must be done. Hatuwezi sahau manze mulishoot mtoto 8 times. And until now the mother has not been compensated, imagine. Killing Genz, manze, you think these guys will forgive? You're playing with the wrong generation, manze. Right now we are just spectating. Tumeona madaktari wameenda strike and we have seen a father screaming, manze, with a dead child on his hands. And you still think you can say sorry, You guys don't know what kind of enmity you are creating. Mjua mtaritaria wapi? Mpange mapema. Because we will deal with you perpendicularly.
The angel of guilt seems to have visited East Africa in the past few days because apologies are flying from everywhere. Started in Uganda, where President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni apologized to Ugandans, and specifically those from the Buganda Kingdom, for the wrongs they might have committed in their 39-year reign. And of course, today morning in Kenya, probably motivated by that sermon, President William Ruto apologizing to Tanzanians and Genz for any wrongs his administration, might have committed. The Ugandan one seems like a classical dictator moment, and let me tell you why. This happened with Moi when Moi was just about to exit. Do you remember that, speech, that memorable speech, akisema naombeni msamaha? And of course, Mzee is also on his way out. It seems the best way to retire as, someone who has ruled with an iron fist is to ask your population or your populace for forgiveness.
One term is real. One term is unstoppable, and no violence. We need peace, but one term is real. Hii hata Mungu ameweka sahihi. Hii kampuni ya profesa na dokta sioni ikiwaka. Hata mtoe pesa ngapi, mshuke juu, mshuke chini, muende kando, muende katikati. Hii one term is real. Asi macheso.
Enyewe Ruto must go. Enyewe Ruto must go. By the way, Ruto must go. Enyewe Ruto must go. Wash fire, Ruto must go. Enyewe Ruto must go. By the way, Ruto must go.